Today we're breaking down The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. Have you ever gotten close to something you really wanted and then somehow destroyed it? Like you finally get the relationship, the job, the opportunity, and then you do exactly what ruins it. And you watch yourself doing it, but can't seem to stop? Brianna Wiest discovered after years of studying self-sabotage that your destructive patterns aren't random. They're your psyche's misguided attempt to protect you from perceived threats that aren't actually dangerous anymore. In this video, you will learn 6 psychological techniques to transform self-sabotage into self-mastery, including why your comfort zone is actually your prison and how your biggest triggers secretly reveal your purpose. Watch till the end to discover how to stop being your own worst enemy and become your most powerful ally. Not through forced positivity, but through understanding the hidden logic behind your self-destructive patterns. Lesson number 1. Self-sabotage is a protection mechanism. This first insight will completely change how you see your destructive patterns, because self-sabotage isn't self-hatred. It's self-protection that's outlived its purpose. Every self-sabotaging behavior once saved you. Procrastination protected you from criticism. Emotional walls protected you from heartbreak. Playing small protected you from visibility. These behaviors worked when you were younger, more vulnerable, had fewer resources. The problem is, your subconscious doesn't update automatically. It's still running protection software from when you were 7, 15, 23. Situations that were genuinely threatening then feel threatening now, even though you have completely different capabilities. Think about it. You sabotage the promotion because some part of you remembers being humiliated when you spoke up in 3rd grade. You sabotage the relationship because some part remembers the devastation of your first heartbreak. Your psyche is trying to protect you from pain that already happened. Wiest calls this the emotional home. Your nervous system has a comfort zone, not of success or happiness, but of familiar feelings. Even if those feelings are anxiety, loneliness, or struggle, they're familiar. And familiar feels safe to your primitive brain. When you exceed your emotional home, make more money, receive more love, achieve more success, your subconscious hits the panic button. This is unfamiliar. Unfamiliar means danger. Return to safety. So you sabotage. You pick a fight. You miss the deadline. You find a reason to quit. But here's what changes everything. Self-sabotage is actually showing you exactly where you need to grow. Every pattern of destruction is highlighting an outdated belief, an old wound, a place where you're still living in the past. It's not your enemy. It's your roadmap. Instead of hating yourself for sabotaging, get curious. What is this protecting me from? What old pain am I trying to avoid? What younger version of me is still running this program? When you understand the protection, you can update the software. Your subconscious isn't evil. It's just outdated. It's using a map from 10 years ago to navigate today's terrain. No wonder you keep crashing. Which brings us to the real reason change feels impossible. Lesson number 2. Your body is addicted to your problems. This will sound insane, but your body is literally chemically addicted to your familiar emotional states, even when they're negative. Every emotion you feel releases specific chemicals in your body. Anxiety releases cortisol and adrenaline. Anger releases norepinephrine. Over time, your cells develop receptor sites for these chemicals. They literally become addicted to your emotional patterns. When you've been anxious for years, your body craves cortisol like a drug. When you start to feel calm, your cells go into withdrawal. They send signals to your brain. Something's wrong. We need our usual chemical hit. So your brain manufactures problems to create the familiar chemicals. This is why you can be lying in bed, perfectly safe, and suddenly remember something embarrassing from 5 years ago. Or why, when everything's going well, you find something to worry about. Your body is manufacturing its drug of choice. Wiest found that it takes about 90 seconds for an emotion to move through your system if you don't resist it. But most of us either suppress it, pushing it into our tissues, or amplify it, feeding the addiction. Either way, we keep the chemical loop going. Think about your default emotional state. Stressed? Overwhelmed? Anxious? Your body has been marinating in those chemicals for years. It doesn't know how to function without them. Peace feels like danger because it's chemically unfamiliar. But here's the breakthrough insight. You can literally detox from emotional patterns, like you'd detox from sugar. The first few days or weeks are uncomfortable. Your body is in withdrawal. But if you consistently choose different emotional states, your cells adapt. They build new receptor sites for different chemicals. This isn't willpower. It's biology. You're not fighting your emotions. You're retraining your cells to crave different chemicals. Every time you choose calm over chaos, gratitude over complaint, presence over projection, you're building new receptor sites. The key is consistency through the withdrawal period. Your body will scream for its familiar chemicals. It will manufacture crises, dig up old pain, create phantom problems. This isn't failure, it's withdrawal. Stay the course. After about 21 to 30 days of consistently choosing different emotional states, your cellular addiction shifts. What once felt uncomfortable now feels normal. You've literally rebuilt your body's emotional baseline, which brings us to the hidden purpose in your biggest triggers. Lesson number 3. Your triggers are your compass. This principle will flip your entire understanding of emotional triggers, because what triggers you most reveals what you're meant to do. Wiest discovered that we're not triggered by things we don't care about. We're triggered by things that matter deeply to us, but that we're not expressing. Your triggers are showing you your suppressed purpose. Triggered by successful people? You're meant to succeed, but are playing small. Triggered by confident people? You're meant to be visible, but are hiding. Triggered by people living freely? You're meant to be authentic, but are conforming. The trigger isn't jealousy, it's recognition. Some part of you recognizes yourself in what triggers you, but instead of claiming it, you're projecting it onto others and feeling resentful. Think about who or what consistently triggers you. Not mild annoyance, real emotional activation. That person living your dream life, that quality you judge harshly in others. That success that makes you uncomfortable. That's your suppressed self screaming for expression. We're taught that triggers are about healing trauma, and sometimes they are. But often, triggers are about unexpressed potential. You're not triggered because you're broken. You're triggered because you're not living fully. Here's what most people miss. Your triggers are specific to your purpose. A natural teacher gets triggered by bad education. A natural healer gets triggered by unnecessary suffering. A natural leader gets triggered by poor leadership. Your triggers reveal your calling. Instead of avoiding your triggers or judging yourself for having them, use them as data. What is this trigger telling me about what I value? What unexpressed part of me is reacting? What action is this trigger calling me toward? Every trigger is an invitation to become more yourself. The discomfort isn't a sign to retreat. It's a sign to advance. You're being called to embody what triggers you, not to eliminate the trigger. The people who trigger you most? They're showing you your future self. The only difference between you and them is they're expressing what you're suppressing. Which brings us to why your dream life is trapped behind uncomfortable feelings. Lesson number 4. Your new life is waiting in your discomfort. This truth is why most people stay stuck forever. The life you want is hiding behind the exact feelings you're avoiding. Want to be confident? You have to feel the discomfort of being seen. Want to be loved? You have to feel the vulnerability of opening up. Want to be successful? You have to feel the fear of potential failure. There's no bypass. Wiest calls this the gateway emotion. Every new level of life has a guardian emotion at its entrance. You can't get to the life without going through the feeling. Most people see the guardian and turn back. We think we're waiting to feel ready before we act. But readiness comes after action, not before. Confidence comes after doing the scary thing. Security comes after taking the risk. Peace comes after facing the conflict. Your brain is wired to avoid discomfort. But discomfort isn't danger, it's growth. Every single expansion of your life required moving through discomfort, learning to walk, talk, read, all uncomfortable at first. But here's the part that changes everything. The discomfort of growth is temporary. The discomfort of staying stuck is permanent. You're choosing between brief discomfort that leads somewhere and endless discomfort that doesn't. Most people choose familiar suffering over unfamiliar possibility. They'd rather stay in a known hell than risk an unknown heaven. At least the known hell is predictable. But predictable suffering is still suffering. The feelings you're avoiding aren't as bad as you think. Fear of rejection is worse than actual rejection. Fear of failure is worse than actual failure. The anticipation is always worse than the experience. When you finally feel the feeling you've been avoiding, you usually discover it's manageable. Often, it passes in minutes. Years of avoidance for minutes of discomfort. The math doesn't make sense. Every feeling you avoid creates a wall between you and your life. But feelings can't hurt you. They can only move through you. The more you avoid them, the more they control you. The more you feel them, the freer you become. Your comfort zone isn't comfortable. It's familiar. And familiar isn't the same as good. Your new life begins the moment you choose unfamiliar discomfort over familiar limitation, which brings us to how to actually change when everything in you resists. Lesson number 5, the process of becoming. This is the roadmap for transformation that nobody talks about, because real change doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in phases. First comes the awakening. Something shifts. Maybe you hit rock bottom. Maybe you have a realization. Maybe you just can't take it anymore. You see clearly that something needs to change. This feels like the hard part, but it's actually the easiest. Next comes the unlearning. You have to dismantle who you were to become who you're meant to be. This means releasing beliefs, habits, relationships, identities that no longer serve you. This is where most people quit because it feels like losing yourself. Then comes the becoming. You're not who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. Wiest calls this the void, the space between identities. It's uncomfortable, uncertain, undefined. You feel like you're nowhere. Actually, you're in transition. Finally comes integration. Your new self becomes natural. What once took effort now flows. What once felt foreign now feels like you. You can't imagine going back to who you were. Most people think change should be linear, steady progress from A to B, but it's actually cyclical. You spiral through these phases over and over, each time at a deeper level. But here's what nobody understands. The resistance you feel isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign you're doing it right. Your ego is fighting for its life. Every pattern, belief, and identity you've built is trying to survive. The resistance is proof of transformation. The mistake is thinking you should feel good during change. You shouldn't. You're literally destroying and rebuilding yourself. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. Comfort is stagnation. Discomfort is evolution. During the becoming phase, you need to lower your expectations of yourself. You're not going to perform at your usual level. You're using all your energy to transform. It's like expecting to run a marathon while your bones are restructuring. Trust the process even when you can't see progress. Seeds grow in darkness before breaking through. Butterflies dissolve completely before reforming. You're not falling apart. You're reorganizing at a higher level. Which brings us to the ultimate truth about your mountain. Lesson number 6. You are the mountain. This final realization changes everything. The mountain isn't in your way. You are the mountain. And mountains aren't moved, they're climbed. You've been waiting for the obstacle to disappear, for the fear to leave, the doubt to vanish, the resistance to stop. But the obstacle is you. And you don't overcome yourself. You integrate yourself. Every part of you that seems like an obstacle, your fear, your doubt, your resistance, is actually a part of you that needs integration. Your fear is trying to keep you safe. Your doubt is trying to prevent disappointment. Your resistance is trying to maintain stability. Fighting yourself is like fighting your reflection. The harder you fight, the harder it fights back. You can't defeat yourself. You can only understand and integrate yourself. The mountain is all your unhealed parts, unexpressed potentials, and unintegrated experiences stacked on top of each other. You built it over years. It's not your enemy. It's your creation. But here's the transformative insight. You don't destroy the mountain. You climb it. And in climbing it, you realize it was never in your way. It was your way. Every obstacle was building strength. Every challenge was developing capability. Every setback was teaching resilience. The person who reaches the summit isn't the same person who started climbing. That's the point. The mountain doesn't change you. Climbing the mountain reveals who you always were beneath the fear. You are both the climber and the mountain, the obstacle and the way, the problem and the solution. When you stop seeing yourself as divided, good parts versus bad parts, and start seeing yourself as whole, everything changes. Your shadows aren't evil. They're unintegrated light. Your weaknesses aren't flaws. They're strengths in hiding. Your problems aren't punishments. They're invitations to grow. Let me simplify this into something you can use right now. Your self-sabotage isn't random. It's revealing exactly where you need to grow. Your triggers aren't wounds. They're showing you your suppressed purpose. Your discomfort isn't danger. It's the gateway to your new life. Here's your action today. Identify one way you consistently sabotage yourself. Instead of judging it, get curious. What is this protecting me from? What younger version of me is running this program? Thank it for trying to protect you, then consciously choose a different action. Just once. Choose growth over protection. Choose discomfort over familiarity. Choose to climb instead of waiting for the mountain to move. Because here's what Wiest taught me that changed everything. You're not stuck because something's wrong with you. You're stuck because you're ready to evolve, and evolution requires destroying who you were to become who you're meant to be. The mountain isn't in your way. You are the mountain, and you were born to climb. Remember, your biggest obstacle is also your path to transformation. Start climbing. For more book summaries that give you actionable takeaways without the fluff, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.